And today is the final day of the G20 summit here in New Delhi, and we are coming to you live from the G20 summit venue's International Media Center and getting you all the highlights and takeaways, key events lined up for day 2, of course, as well. Let's just give you a quick roundup of what has transpired in the early hours of the day so far, where things stand. The day started with the leaders making their way to Rajghat, visiting Rajghat and paying tribute to Mahatma Gandhi. Prime Minister Modi welcomed the dignitaries with a stole made out of cotton while standing in the backdrop, against the backdrop of an image of Gandhi's humble abode. The Prime Minister was seen explaining to the leaders the significance of the same. World leaders then paid floral tributes to Mahatma Gandhi at Rajghat. And now the third session of the summit, namely One Future, has started at the Bharat Mandapam.
Of India. Just members of media to kindly...
The leaders are also scheduled to carry out bilateral meetings with each other. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi is also scheduled to hold key bilaterals with leaders of various countries, and these include France, Turkey, the UAE, South Korea, Brazil. The Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau will also have a pull aside with Prime Minister Modi on the sidelines of the summit. And a huge milestone as far as day 1 is concerned of the G20 summit saw a breakthrough on the joint declaration and consensus being reached. A lot of question marks were raised over whether or not there will be these significant breakthroughs, but India has achieved consensus and made that announcement yesterday. Remember that joint declaration being a very significant aspect of what transpired. The consensus was arrived at despite concerns over divisions among the member countries. Let's just give you a better sense of how this consensus was really forged. Now, this consensus on the joint declaration came after this closely watched summit. The joint declaration remained elusive at best. There was a surprise announcement on Saturday. How exactly did India manage this? Going by the text of the final document, we can see a clear shift in the position taken by the US, the EU and other G7 countries. And unlike last year, the harsh criticism of Russia was dropped. Instead, there was nothing in the text to show that world leaders are trying to hold Russia accountable. The Indian External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar, says the consensus had come about due to the stand taken by Indonesia, India, Brazil and South Africa. Now, reports also indicating that Japan, as the current president of the G7, plus EU bloc, also played a role in bridging the differences. And as a result, we saw no condemnation of Russia in the joint statement. And when asked about the climb down by the EU and the G7 countries, officials reportedly said that the choice that they faced was of agreeing to the text or having no text at all. And the latter would have led to unfavorable comparisons with the recent BRICS summit in South Africa. In Johannesburg, Russia and China had agreed to a joint statement that included the reference to national positions on Ukraine. The phrase national positions also found mention in the New Delhi declaration. Reports say Western negotiators chose the option of having a statement to keep the G20 alive as a platform and as an organization.
You can say it's over the moon.
A huge breakthrough when it comes to achieving consensus, the Indian G20 presidency, of course, coming at a very challenging time in the backdrop of the Russia-Ukraine war and also the impact that the COVID-19 pandemic has had and the way it has altered lives. The presidency focusing on inclusivity and bringing the member countries on board when it comes to the key issues and challenges that the world is facing and finding concrete solutions to the common challenges and issues of our time. Also, the Indian presidency laying a lot of focus on inclusivity, and that in itself was the message from day one itself when the African Union was inducted as a part of the G20 as the 55-member bloc, representing key concerns and also amplifying India's role when it comes to emerging as the voice of the global South. India has also been making its message very loud and clear when it comes to the concerns that the global South have and why it's necessary to find common ground on those challenges and actually make those concerns and issues heard, and the need for that in this day and age. The role that has been played by India to get the member countries on board, also when it comes to the issue of climate action being lauded, the way in which India has moved towards building consensus and also tripling the global renewable energy capacity by the year 2030 being marked as another significant milestone. WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the updates on the move.